Welcome, everyone, to Techaily.ai. This deep dive is brought to you by Stonefly. They're your go-to partner for, well, robust enterprise storage, seamless backup and disaster recovery, cutting-edge, hyper-converged solutions. For VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox clusters.
And powerful AI servers, too, plus their SA365 turnkey security appliance.
Right. And they help navigate public and private cloud strategies. You can discover more over at stonefly.com. Okay, let's unpack this. Our digital world. It's feeling a bit like the Wild West lately,
Yeah, definitely. Things are heating up.
Cyber threats are just escalating dramatically. The average cost of a data breach, it's hit a staggering $4.88 million.
Staggering is the right word.
And ransomware attacks, they pretty much doubled, now costing an average of $4.91 million per incident in 2024.
It's unsustainable for many businesses.
Exactly. And what we used to rely on, that old castle and moat security idea, well, it's just not cutting it anymore.
Not even close.
Think about it. Our networks aren't just in the building now. We've got remote workers all over, services running in the cloud, countless connected devices. That moat, it's practically evaporated.
The perimeter is gone, essentially.
But there's a powerful framework emerging as the answer: zero trust. So in this deep dive, we're going to really dig into what zero trust means, how it's actually being implemented, from things like microsegmentation down to the practicalities of managing storage and the key benefits and, importantly, the challenges you need to understand.
And what's really key about zero trust, fundamentally, is how it flips the old security mindset completely on its head. For decades, it was trust but verify. Once you were inside the network walls,
You were sort of assumed to be okay.
pretty much, yeah. There was this implicit trust. But zero trust, it takes a sledgehammer to that idea. The mantra is never trust, always verify.
Never trust, always verify.
Every single access request. Doesn't matter if it's a person, a device, an app. Doesn't matter if they seem to be inside or outside the network. It's verified continuously.
Yeah.
No free passes.
So it's not just checking ID at the main gate. It's like a guard following you around, checking your badge every time you try to open a door, asking, are you still supposed to be here? Doing that.
That's a good analogy, actually. It's constant vigilance. And it's become so necessary because, as you said, our environments have changed so drastically.
Why has this shift become so urgent? What's the core driver?
Well, the old model just falls completely short. Remote work is the norm now. Cloud adoption is massive. We have this explosion of unmanaged devices, personal phones, IoT gadgets connecting everywhere.
Yep.
And then you have sophisticated insider threats, which are a huge growing problem. All of this just massively widens the attack surface. That old perimeter defense, it's almost irrelevant in many ways. Attackers can just sidestep it.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, let's look at the core principles guiding zero trust architecture. You often see these laid out in guides like NIST 800-207. First up, continuously verify. What's that look like day to day?
Continuously verify means it's dynamic. It's real-time risk assessment before any access is granted. It's not just about that initial login password.
Okay.
The system is constantly looking at the state of the user's identity, the application they're asking for, the health of the device they're using.
Like, is it patched? Does it have malware?
Exactly. And it can adapt its decision based on behavior or environment, maybe a sudden login from a weird location or at an odd time. This allows for what we call risk-based conditional access. Access isn't just yes or no. It might be yes, but with limited privileges, or yes, but you need another MFA check right now.
Got it. Okay, principle number 2, limit the blast radius. This sounds crucial for when inevitably something does go wrong. How does it stop one breach from becoming a total catastrophe?
It's absolutely fundamental. Zero trust aims to severely restrict an attacker's ability to move laterally within the network. So imagine your network isn't one big open space anymore.
More like a submarine with watertight compartments.
Precisely. It's achieved through identity-based segmentation. Access is tied to who you are, not just where you are on the network, and critically, by enforcing the principle of least privilege.
Meaning you only get the absolute minimum access needed to do your specific job.
Exactly that. So if one system, one user account gets compromised, the attacker is contained. They can't just wander through your entire digital house, opening every door. The blast is limited.
Okay, makes sense. And the third principle, automate context collection and response. This sounds like where the really advanced tech, maybe AI, comes in.
It certainly does. This is all about gathering huge amounts of data from everywhere: user credentials, device health status, network traffic patterns, data access logs, you name it.
So pulling in signals from all over the place.
Right. And then integrating all that data with your security tools, your SIMs, your SSO services, threat intelligence feeds. And this is where AI and machine learning become incredibly powerful. They can process these vast data sets in real time, spot anomalies, make accurate policy decisions, and even automate responses way faster than humans could.
And weed out the false alarms, too, I imagine.
A huge benefit, yes. Reducing false positives means your security team can focus on the real threats, not chase ghosts.
Okay, that framework makes a lot more sense now. So with those principles in mind, let's zoom in on a key strategy you mentioned, microsegmentation. You described it like tiny forts inside the network.
That's a great way to think about it. Microsegmentation creates these really small, isolated security perimeters, sometimes around just a single workload or a small group of critical assets.
So instead of one big wall, lots of little internal walls.
Exactly. It dramatically shrinks the attack surface. If an attacker gets into one segment, they're stuck there. It makes it much, much harder for threats to spread, especially things like ransomware.
And I've heard it mentioned specifically for ransomware defense. Is it really that effective?
Oh, absolutely. Major organizations, MITRE, Gartner, even the NSA, they all point to microsegmentation as a really promising way to build cyber-resilient systems. It's designed specifically to block that lateral movement that ransomware relies on to encrypt everything.
Okay, it sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I read the surprising stat that only like 12% of organizations using traditional microsegmentation are actually happy with it. What's going on there? Why the dissatisfaction?
Yeah, that's where the story gets interesting. The traditional ways of doing microsegmentation. Honestly, they were often incredibly complex, very resource-intensive, and expensive.
How so?
It involved a ton of manual work. You had to meticulously label, tag, and group every single asset on your network. It took forever, was prone to errors, and was really hard to keep up to date as things change.
So you'd end up with gaps, I guess.
Big gaps, yeah. It was just too much manual effort to cover everything effectively. Security leaders consistently point to the complexity, the potential disruption during setup, the high costs, and the ongoing maintenance burden as major headaches.
So what's the alternative? How do modern solutions tackle this? There must be a better way now.
There absolutely is. Modern microsegmentation leverages AI and machine learning. That's the game changer. Policy management becomes much more automated.
Taking a manual slog out of it.
Exactly. These newer solutions can even do things like apply just-in-time multi-factor authentication MFA right down at the individual port level. This extends strong protection to all sorts of assets, even tricky ones like old legacy apps, databases, OT systems, IoT devices, things that were really hard to secure before.
Wow, okay. And response times.
Much faster. Some solutions can help thwart attacks within hours, often without disrupting normal network operations. It's a far more dynamic, scalable, and frankly achievable approach for most organizations today.
That leads us nicely into a very practical, real-world question: storage. Specifically in the zero-trust context, we see this debate online a lot. Can you use a hypervisor like Proxmox to effectively manage your storage, say using ZFS, without needing a separate dedicated NAS box or running an AS VM like TrueNAS or Unraid?
Oh yeah, that's a hot topic, especially in home lab communities, but also relevant for smaller setups. There's definitely an appeal for some people to use Proxmox directly for storage.
What's the draw?
Well, direct control is a big one. You manage the ZFS pools and datasets right there in the hypervisor. It can feel simpler, potentially use fewer resources, and integrate really tightly with your VMs and containers, especially for things like snapshots. And if you're comfortable with the Linux command line,
You might prefer it over a NASDU.
you might, yeah. Avoids what some see as complex or bloated NAS interfaces. It's often appealing for smaller setups where massive storage scaling isn't the main goal.
Do we see people actually doing this successfully? Like, what are their setups like?
Sure, you see users who've maybe migrated away from a dedicated NAS because their main focus is running containers and VMs, and they just need simple shared storage. Maybe they set up a ZFS mirror directly in Proxmox. The data often lives inside the VM, and Proxmox just manages the underlying storage pool. They handle network shares like Samba manually.
Okay, so you can definitely make it work if you have the skills and specific needs.
There are different ways to give storage to VMs too, like virtuofs for general stuff, or passing through a whole ZFS volume, a ZVOL for things needing raw block access like databases, or using bind mounts for Linux containers.
There's always a but, right?
Yeah.
The counter-argument is strong. Many experts really insist Proxmox isn't a NAS. What's behind that?
That's the core pushback. They emphasize Proxmox is built to be a hypervisor. Its main job is running VMs efficiently and securely. Using it as a NAS adds complexity it wasn't primarily designed for.
What kind of complexity?
Managing users, permissions, network shares, it can get really tricky, especially matching up user IDs between, say, Windows clients and the underlying Linux system. It requires a lot more manual configuration.
Which means more chances to mess something up.
Exactly. Higher risk of misconfiguration, more troubleshooting needed. It's just not the out-of-the-box experience you get with dedicated NAS software, which is built specifically for easy and robust file sharing.
So what are the key advantages of sticking with dedicated NAS software like TrueNAS, Unraid, or even enterprise solutions?
Well, you get polished, thoroughly tested file sharing features, SMB, NFS, AFP, ready to go. Plus, you often get crucial specialized features built in. Robust backup tools, replication options, maybe advanced snapshot management, or sharing capabilities that are much harder to replicate manually on Proxmox.
And security. Is there a difference there?
Often, yes. Dedicated NAS solutions, especially appliances, tend to be more secure by default. They're purpose-built, often hardened with pre-configured firewalls and restricted services. This minimizes the attack surface right from the start. For many users, that provides significant peace of mind compared to manually securing a hypervisor being used for storage.
This whole Proxmox's NAS discussion really loops back to zero trust, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you do go the manual route on Proxmox, say for a powerful home lab, how do you ensure you're actually following zero trust principles?
It absolutely does. Choosing the manual path means you are taking direct responsibility for building that security posture. The dedicated NAS software usually provides a lot of that security as a core feature, often automated.
So you have to consciously build those microperimeters yourself.
Precisely. We see examples where users, sometimes just for the learning experience, deliberately create highly compartmentalized setups on Proxmox. They manually harden everything. That effort, even in a home lab, perfectly embodies zero trust, limiting the blast radius, continuously verifying access through careful configuration. You're building the ZT principles in rather than buying them prepackaged. It proves the philosophy works at any scale if you put in the work.
It really underscores that zero trust is powerful,
Yeah.
but definitely not a simple switch to flip. It sounds like a significant journey for any organization.
Oh, absolutely. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Nobody rips out everything overnight and becomes zero trust. It's an ongoing process, an evolution. Most companies will probably be in a hybrid state, part ZT, part traditional perimeter for quite a while.
Indefinitely, maybe.
Quite possibly. And it demands really deep knowledge, knowing all your assets, physical, virtual, all your subjects, users, service accounts, APIs, and how your critical business processes actually work.
So what are the biggest roadblocks people hit when they start down this path? What makes it challenging?
Well, the implementation itself can be really complex. You need that deep understanding of your whole environment first. It can be disruptive, potentially costly, especially integrating with older legacy systems.
Interoperability issues?
Big time. Getting old protocols to play nice with new AI-driven security tools is a major hurdle. Then there's the user experience factor.
The continuous verification and MFA. People might get annoyed.
Exactly. If it's not implemented thoughtfully, that constant authentication can lead to user frustration, maybe even resistance, or people trying to find workarounds, which defeats the purpose. Finding that balance between tight security and user efficiency is really tricky.
Well,
It's resource intensive. Both implementing and maintaining a ZTA requires ongoing investment in tools and skilled personnel for continuous monitoring. There's also the potential for false positives, the system being too strict and flagging legitimate activity.
wasting investigation time.
Right. And you're heavily dependent on the technology identity systems, encryption, segmentation tools. If a key component fails, you could be left vulnerable. Plus, navigating all the data privacy regulations like GDPR adds another layer of complexity.
Those are definitely significant hurdles. How can organizations realistically overcome them? What are the strategies?
It's about being pragmatic. Start small, maybe. Gradual implementation, tackle low-risk areas first to gain experience and show value. Invest in user-friendly tools to minimize that friction we talked about.
Communication is key too, I bet.
Absolutely vital. Regular training, clear communication about why these changes are happening and how they benefit everyone. Careful resource planning is essential, and you need to be ready to continuously refine your policies based on real-world feedback and the evolving threat landscape. It's not set and forget.
Could you quickly sketch out the main operational parts that make zero trust work? The engine room, so to speak.
Sure. Conceptually, there are three main logical components. You have the policy engine, that's the brain making the AXIM decisions based on all the context it receives. Then the policy administrator, it takes the engine's decisions and actually sets up or tears down the communication paths. And finally, the policy enforcement point, think of it as the gatekeeper right at the resource, opening or closing the gate based on the administrator's instructions.
And these rely on all that data we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. They feed off data from things like your identity management system, threat intelligence feeds, device health checks, CDM systems, and your SIM for logging and correlation. It's this interconnected system constantly evaluating and enforcing policy.
Okay, so even with a robust zero-trust setup, it's not invincible. What kinds of threats are still a concern, or maybe even unique to a ZTA environment?
That's a crucial reality check. Zero trust dramatically reduces risk, but threats evolve. A major concern is attacking the ZTA infrastructure itself. If someone compromises or misconfigures the policy engine or administrator,
They control the brain or the enforcer.
precisely. That undermines the whole model. Denial of service attacks against these key components are also a risk, potentially grinding things to a halt. And while ZT is great against lateral movement, stolen credentials and sophisticated insider threats are still challenging. Contextual analysis helps, but it's not foolproof.
Any other unique wrinkles?
Yeah, a few. Encrypted traffic can sometimes create visibility blind spots. The logs and system data generated by the ZTA itself can become valuable targets for attackers. Relying heavily on one vendor's proprietary formats could lead to lock-in. And a really interesting emerging area is non-person entities, AI agents, automated scripts. How do you apply zero trust principles to them effectively? It's a new frontier.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for everyone listening? What does this all mean?
I think the main point is that zero trust architecture isn't just some buzzword or passing fad. It's really becoming a strategic imperative if you want to navigate the digital world we live in today with all its complexities and threats.
It really demands that fundamental shift in thinking, right? Away from assuming trust just because someone's inside, towards constantly verifying everything, every user, every device, every single access request.
Exactly. And while getting to a full ZTA is definitely complex, it has its challenges. The payoff enhanced security, much better visibility, a drastically reduced attack surface. Those benefits are becoming essential. It's true for massive corporations, and it's true even for someone meticulously managing their own complex home lab.
And maybe the ultimate challenge isn't just the tech itself. As we deal with remote work, cloud, all these devices, maybe it's about fostering that never trust, always verify mindset within ourselves and our teams.
I think that's perfectly put. Understanding that security isn't a destination you arrive at. It's this ongoing dynamic process, constantly learning, constantly adapting as the threats change. It's about building resilience, not just higher walls.
Well said. Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder about our sponsor, Stonefly. They offer some seriously powerful and secure solutions for storage needs. A great example is their 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS, designed for maximum security, starting at just $8,995.
That blend of immutability and air gapping is really key for resilience against things like ransomware.
Definitely. You can find out more about that specific offering and all their other robust solutions over at stonefly.com.